Om apyayantu mamangani vakpranachakshushrotramatabalamindriyani cha sarvani sarvam brahma upanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam mama brahma nirakarot anirakaranamastu anirakaraname tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaste mai santu te mai santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the different parts of my body, the tongue, prana, eyes, ears, and my strength, and also all the other sense organs be nourished. All indeed is Brahman, as is declared in the Upanishads. May I never deny Brahman. May Brahman never deny me. May there never be denial on the part of Brahman. May there never be denial on my part. May all the virtues discussed in the Upanishads belong to me, who am devoted to Brahman. Here, may they all belong to me. Om, peace, peace, peace. Just a bit of recapitulation, not bit, quite a bit we have to discuss from the last study. We saw that the three gods were defeated in their common mission, that is to investigate into the reality of the yaksha, the adorable spirit that had manifested in front of them. In that, the gods, the Agni and the Vayu, the god of fire, the god of wind, had the opportunity to converse with yaksha. But when Indra came, the yaksha completely disappeared. This experience purged them of their impurity, which is ego. Their ego got a jolt. Their idea of self-importance and self-sufficiency, which was born out of the ignorance of the true nature, got jolt, a shock. And the two gods had returned, failing to investigate the truth of yaksha. But Indra did not come back to the devas and declare that there is nothing such a thing called as yaksha or anything, like how the nihilists of the Buddhists say, no Atman, no God. No, Indra didn't do that. Instead, Indra was shocked. That shock brought a certain degree of meekness and humility in him. This humility made him, or this meekness gave way to the purity of the mind, and he started analyzing. He became introspective and started thinking, where did I go wrong? What's this experience? He started analyzing this experience. And in this, he became the recipient of the grace of the great goddess, Uma Haimavati, who was the very embodiment of Brahma Vidya, knowledge of Brahman. Because seeing the desire for truth in the heart of Indra, the knowledge itself manifested as the divine, the wondrously effulgent Uma Haimavati. There is a close connection or unity between the macrocosm aspect of nature and the microcosm aspect of nature within this human body. Nature, why I say, is apart from, other than the Purusha, everything else is nature in this body. From ego down to this body, everything is nature, jada, insentient. All the sentientness is borrowed from the Purusha, who is the consciousness, or the Brahman, or the Atman. Any word you can use, it all means the same. So there is, in our mythology, this connection between the microcosm and macrocosm. The adhibhautik, adhyatmik. The nature outside is adhibhautik, and the nature within is adhyatmik. So all the natural forces of the nature is personified as the devas, effulgent beings. And they represent some of the thing within us, our sensory system, our thought force. These are all the play of the Prakriti, that is, these devas within our body. And the story in its adhyatmic or spiritual significance, it's an allegorical representation of our journey towards God, who is the very self, the innermost self of all of us. And Indra, Agni, Vayu, as I said, they represent the force of nature. In this body, Indra represents the individual self, the jiva, and Agni, the power of speech, and Vayu, the power of thought. We say, isn't it? He speaks fire when people speak, fiery words, fiery speeches they give. So we have that such of expression, the power of speech, Agni represents. And thoughts are faster than the wind, we say. So there's a connection. So these three in us. And we also know that there is this good and evil propensities in all of us. They represent the devas and the asuras, the gods and the demons. And there's a constant struggle to assert the divinity and to overcome the evil. Swami Vivekananda was asked to define life. And he says, life is the unfoldment and development of a being under circumstances tending to suppress it. Life is a struggle. This is the battle. It's all going on in us. Every time, whenever there is a moral law, there's a conflict, there's a fight. This is going on. So this is represented as Devasur Sangram in the mythologies, the battle between the demons and the gods. Here also, the gods overcame the demons by the blessings of a higher power. So even when we as sadhakas, when we want to overcome our lower propensities, how do we do it? We pray to God to give us the moral strength. Or if you are a jnani, if you are a person of rational thinking, or you rely on your higher nature, you take your stand on the ever-present reality, Sakshi. Your line of reasoning will be, what? There is divinity in me. I am in my essence divine. Why should I behave like this? See, this is how we overcome. There's a constant understanding or going towards the divine for the help. So was this battle won by the devas, but then weak as they are and weak as we are, when we really overcome something, we don't attribute that victory to the higher power. We did it. It's all me, I have so much of knowledge and I could overcome with it. We attribute, appropriate the glory and the power of the God. The same thing was done. It's a mistake. It's a mistake done by everybody. But when good people do it, we feel good people. Why on earth did they do that? Evil people doing is we accept it. It's their evil nature. They can never understand. But when good people do something, we say, oh, such a person to do this, isn't it? So Brahman, the thinker of thought, saw this. Before we can think, we say, no, God knows. We may hide our thoughts from anyone, but not with God. God knows everything. Why? Because He is the Sakshi, He is the witness, He is the one. Our power to, our capacity to think comes from Him. Rather, we can say He is the thinker of the thought. Brahman is the thinker of the thought. So he saw these devas are wrong. They are becoming conceited. This attitude has come from, it has proceeded from the ignorance of their true nature. So in order to bless them, to do good to them, the infinite Brahman took a strange form as an yaksha, an adorable form. What sort of a form, we do not know. When he comes in the form of a Rama and Krishna, we can make out. When it comes in the form of adorable, yaksha, we do not know how it is. So the books interpret as an adorable spirit comes. And so they start going and investigating what this yaksha was. And we saw how they were defeated and how this defeat ultimately purged them of their ego and paved way to be the recipients of grace. And then they started thinking, this Indra started thinking, where have I gone wrong? And because of his love for the truth, in that very spot, the Uma Haimavati, can you show the picture of Uma Haimavati? Uma, goddess Uma, she stood there, wondrously effulgent. Uma, see, any knowledge is always revealing. Brightness, lamp, light, everything is associated with knowledge. And spiritual knowledge is all the more illuminating. It illumines our whole life, our being. So that is why she's wondrously effulgent, because she's with knowledge personified. And from her, the first mantra. Indra, meekly, when he felt a sense of humiliation, or not humiliation, he felt the small meekness. Oh, there is something better, more profound than what I am, what I think. So in that humbly when he approached and asked her who this Yaksha is, and she replied, Sa Brahmeti hovacha Brahmano va etad vijaye mahidvam iti tato haya vidangchakara Brahmeti. She replied, it is indeed Brahman. Through the victory of Brahman alone have you attained glory. After that, Indra understood that it was Brahman. So it's quite simple to understand. Here, the goddess, the truth, the Brahmavidya, gave him they made Indra understand that he was a instrument. That's all. They could overcome the evil, or the asuras, or the demons, or the evil propensities, whatever it is. So due to the blessings of Brahman. And you were only instrument. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, I have already killed them. You just be a instrument. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin. Mayaivaite nihata purvam evam. I have already, these Kauravas, these evil kings, I have already destroyed them. You're only an instrument. Just do it now. They're already doomed. I am the very fact that I am here is their doom. So you don't have to worry. You just fight. Do your duty unattached. That's what Shri Krishna told. So here, the Devas should have known it better. They being Devas, endowed with intelligence, they should have understood it. But human weakness or their weaknesses, so they had appropriated the glory of the Brahman, and hence they had to go through this experience. The second one, Tasmat va ete deva atitaramiva anyan devan yat agnir vayur indra te henat nedishtam paspashu te henat prathamo vidang chakara. Since they approached very near Brahman and were first to know that it was Brahman, these devas, namely Agni, Vayu, Indra, excelled the other gods. These gods are two great in our mythologies, even in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. These devas are exalted. Why? Because they had come into contact with Brahman closely, because Agni and Vayu had a conversation with him. It's touching means they had come close to Brahman. So they had some sort of, what do you call, influence. Even when you come in contact with holy people, you feel uplifted. Then what to speak of when they have come into contact with Brahman? That's why they could get. So, and hence they became the great among the gods, these three gods. Then, actually, this chapter, it's what do you call, in praise of Brahma Vidya. Actually, not much philosophy is involved in this, but how the knowledge of the Brahman can be profound and what impact it has on us. This is about that. So the third mantra, Tasmadva Indro Atitaramiva Anyan Devan Sa Henat Nedishtam Paspashas Sa Henat Prathamo Vidang Chakara Brahmeti. Since Indra approached Brahman nearest, and since he was the first to know that it was Brahman, Indra excelled the other gods. So Indra went first. When the Brahman disappeared, the Yaksha disappeared, and the grace of knowledge was right in front of him, and he got the first-hand information from Uma. And hence, he became the ruler. He became the great king. Indra is the king of gods. So he became the king of gods. So this is how the Upanishads tries to induce us to learn the Brahma Vidya. You learn this Brahma Vidya, you will become great. So that is what it's like, a falashruti, you know. What they say? Eulogy. It's like that. Then the fourth. Tasyaisha adesho yadetat vidyuto vidyutat iti nyamisham nyamimashad. It's a horrible word. I always find it difficult to, what do you call, pronounce it. Ityadi daivatam. So this is the instruction about Brahman with regard to the gods. Adi daivatam. See, there are three realities. Adidaiva, Adibhauta, Adhyatma. Three existences, rather, you can say. Adidaiva is the divinities. Like how I said, the natural forces are personified into gods. So that's Adidaivata. But the natural force itself is Adibhautika. And that which is in us, this body, mind, intellect, Adhyatma. So this, from the Adidaiva point, they are saying it is like the flash of lightning. It's like a wink of the eye. So from the two ways of interpreting. From the standpoint of microcosm, there is the true experiencer is the Atman or the Brahman. Apart from that, there is no other experience. Experience, when it comes, there is this Purusha or this Brahman. Existence is vast. From the cosmos up to this body, everything exists. But the experiencer, when the experiencer comes, then a living cell, when it comes into the evolutionary picture, only then, with the cell, living cell coming in, starts the evolution. Organic evolution starts. Before that, it's just cosmic evolution. The planetary systems are there, the sun, the moon, the stars, everything is coming. But living cell comes later on, isn't it? With that starts the evolution. So here, when it comes to experience, it's the Atman or the Purusha or the Brahman alone is the experiencer. This we must understand it very well. And from the macrocosm, we read in the Upanishad, isn't it? Isha Upanishad, that the person residing in the solar orb. We read the Purusha in the solar orb. That is the conditioned Brahman. So here also, it's a Virat, Lord. Yeah? So how this experience of this, these few mantras are just so, due to their brevity, they are so, what do you call, very difficult to interpret. There are quite a few interpretations. Here, the flash of lightning. You see, lightning, even if it is for a split second, it's vibrating a lot, isn't it? Even if it's for a split second, it's so bright and it illuminates everything. We can see everything, just even if it's for a few seconds. So profound is its light. In the same way, the realization of Brahman, even if it's for a fraction of a second, it's just a fraction of a second you get it. But its impact on the human life is profound. From man, the brute, we become divine, universal man. That is the profundity of this experience. It's a fraction of a second you have this illumination, but it changes the whole life. We become infinitely broad and we feel with the whole universe. We become one with, we become Mahatmas, Mahatma, universal beings. So this is the idea behind it. And a fraction of a second, within a wink of an eye, is the comparison or the examples given. The realization takes place within the wink of an eye. But all the preparations and struggles, it takes life after life, life after life. From when we have started our journey, this journey of evolution, we do not know. From unicellular system, we have come to all this multicellular, all this, and then finally we came to this human body where this wonderful cerebral system was given, but it had still all the smell of the previous animal bodies, whatever we had acquired. So even in this human body, we went through many a times, birth after birth, experience after experience, enjoyment after enjoyment. And after understanding the worthlessness of it, finally, we put existential questions. What is this? Why have we come? What's all this fun? Where are we heading to? When such questions come, then our mind turns inward. So whatever may be the attitude of the mind, we take that path and we proceed. All options are given. It's everything. It's like a buffet system. Whichever you like, take it. whatever is appeals to you, you take that path, but follow it sincerely and proceed. That's what the Upanishad tells us. Nothing else. Anything. Vedanta has no problem with any line, way of thinking. Just be sincere, go ahead. Charaiveti, charaiveti. Onward, forward, onward, forward. That's the Upanishadic call. This might be the example. Like, it takes a long time to cook and do everything. You have to go to the market, bring, cook, and how much time does it take to eat? Within no seconds, we finish. So it's like that. All the preparation to make the mind ready for the realization takes eons. But the realization itself comes in wink of an eye. Then I thought this is the better way of understanding these Upanishads, mantras. That's why I just am giving it like this. The fifth mantra. Atha adhyatmam. Atha adhyatmam. Yadetad gacchativa cha manonena chaitad upasmarati abhikshanam sankalpa. Now the instruction about Brahman with regard to the individual self. The mind, as it were, goes to Brahman. The seeker, by means of the mind, communes with it intimately again and again. This should be the volition of his mind. The Upanishad had told us that the mind does not reveal Brahman. Rather, the mind gets the capacity to reveal the objective world through Brahman. But does it contradict by saying that the mind goes again and again and communes? No, it's not contradicting. As long as we have the mind, we know that Brahman cannot be realized through the mind. But does the mind listen to us? No. This is what we have got. So in and through that, we try again and again, again and again. Do we get meditation very quickly? No. But why do we try? Try, try, try. Maybe the whole of life we might be finished up only with trying. We try again. In the process, the mind becomes subtler and subtler and subtler, finer and finer and finer. One stage comes, absolutely this, no mind. No mind, what is there? Brahman. So you get the direct experience, aparoksha. Now we have got paroksha, because the mind is the mediator, the mind is in between. So whatever I need to do, I need to in and through this mind. Mind is the only thing I have got. So with this mind only I have to. So, but when I start working on it and working on it and working on it, the mind becomes subtler and subtler and subtler. The capacity to understand, perceive subtler. And the Brahman is the subtlest of subtler realities. This is one way of thinking. The other way is, I told you that what mind is. Mind is nothing but a flow of thoughts. As long as thoughts are there, mind is there. No thoughts, no mind. So in the mind, there's a continuous flow of thought. One thought comes, it stays on the field for some time, then it disappears back in. Just only to give place for another thought. This is how the thought goes. And we are so outgoing, and we are so much, what do you call, with the distraction, hardly we understand the working of the minds. So in between two thoughts, one thought has come, when it disappears, the other comes. In between these two thoughts, however infinitesimal may be the time, there is a gap in between where the mind remains in a state of no thought. It is then the Brahman is revealed. If we can work on our mind, get the capacity to organize our mind, enable to get the proper thought what we want, and we have the mind under our control, we can increase this time, duration, the gap. We get the glimpse of the revelation. This is so in and through the thoughts only we have to. That is why the Upanishads in the second chapter we say Pratibodha Viditam. In and through every modifications of the mind, Brahman is realized. There's no other way for ordinary people like you and me. Come, the next, the sixth. Tadhat tadvanam nama tadvanam ityupasitavyam sa ya etad. Something is wrong. Tadhat tadvanam nama ityupasitavyam sa ya etad evam veda abhihainam sarvani bhutani samvachanti. Brahman is called Tadvanam, the adorable of all. It should be worshipped by the name of Tadvanam. All creatures desire him who worships Brahman thus. Remember in the second chapter we were saying Yad vajanabhyuditam yena vagabhyudhyate tadeva brahmam tvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. That which cannot be revealed by speech, but that which enables the speech to speak, know that as Brahman, not what these people worship. So we felt the Upanishad was criticizing us who worship the conditioned Brahman. But it wasn't that. Upanishads was not condemning us, but it was only pointing us that there is some reality behind you. Know that you may be a very eloquent speaker, but you are able to speak only because of the divinity or the power within you is able to speak. The moment that power gets out, you become nothing than a shava. You don't have the capacity to speak. You may be a very good athlete, Olympic, but that should not swell your eyes. Your head mustn't be swollen because of that. Because that power you got it from God alone. Sri Ramakrishna says, if anyone who excels in anything, be in music or in playing or whatever, dancing, whatever it is, all those things are blessings of God. It's the vibhuti of God. As such, you need to respect, and those who possess that, they should be humble. Really, truly talented people are always humble. It's only the half ones become. There's a saying, Alpa Vidya Mahabhayankari. Half knowledge is very dangerous. Only their heads get swollen. Nothing else happens. So this is the thing that the Upanishads tell only was pointing us to a reality behind all your senses, mind, and intellect. It was just pointing to you. Upanishads doesn't condemn anything. Upanishads, Vedanta is always there to just give a helping hand. Wherever you are, they come down. They never say you are wrong. You are right. You can be better. That's the Vedantic approach. It never says you are wrong. This is not you shouldn't worship God. God's all this what? We should self-realization. So Vedanta never says. See, Buddha was a Vedantist, but he denied. So what was the fate of Buddhism? It had to get out of the country. Because we held God, the Vedas, as our own life. It was so close. But Buddhism removed it. Hence, it had a natural death in India. So never condemn anything. Allow people to take what they can. All is needed is don't stagnate. Don't stagnate. Onward, forward. Onward, forward. That is the message of the Upanishad. So Upanishad tells us Tadvanam, because the self is adorable. We love ourselves, isn't it? Why do we love? Because The divinity within propels. Why do we love people? Because their divinity within them propels, makes us love. It is the love that brings us together. Hence, Atman is lovable, adorable, and worshipful. Hence, you worship, not as some being above, extra cosmic person. From there, with the remote control, he is doing this. No. The God of Vedanta is within us and is manifested as the universe. As such, the universe is lovable because the Lord himself is there. So Tadvana means the adorable one. And one who has worshipped Brahman or realized Brahman as the self within and that self in all, what happens is you become universal and everybody loves an universal person. Why do you all love us? Because we belong to God. Isn't that? So if ordinary people can command love and affection, what to speak of a person who has realized and has become universal in proportion? They become the lovable persons. The whole world loves them. So that's the meaning of Tadvanam, the seventh one. So the disciple asked, Upanishadam bho bruhi iti. Yukta te Upanishadam. Brahmi vava te Upanishadam abrumiti. Sir, the disciple said, teach me, sir, the Upanishad. The preceptor replied, I have already told you about the Upanishad. I have certainly told you about the Upanishads, about Brahman. So the student wants to know, after hearing everything, you ask, sir, teach me Upanishad. Does the student wants the teacher to repeat the lecture again? Or what does he mean by that? He means, is there any auxiliary what do you call, teachings or anything connected with that in order to realize Brahman? That's what he means. See, when Swami Vivekananda was giving his talks on Vedanta, they always would ask him to give something practical. You are studying Vedanta with impersonal aspect of Brahman. What practicality can you get? And the word very practicality itself is different. What is practical for me may not be practical for you. For a person, earning money is the most practical thing. So practical varies. So you cannot use this word with regard to spirituality. So Swamiji was trying his best to make them understand. To clear the mind of its attachment to the world, to know that you are the supreme reality in itself is a practical thing. If we can understand these two ideas, we will be progressing a lot in our spiritual life. Isn't that practical? Instead of putting thousands of ideas into the head and then getting everything mixed and confused, take up two ideas and practice it. What more practicality do you want? This is practicality, isn't it? That's what the disciple wants to. But the teacher says, there is nothing else is needed. Nothing else is needed. Understand that you are a part of the divine, or you are Brahman itself. That will give you the needed detachment, the needed discernment, and needed devotion towards your ideal. A clear intellectual understanding will give the conviction to rise above the limitations of our psychophysical organism, and we progress in our spiritual life. This is the teacher says, the eighth one. So the knowledge of Brahman does not stand in need of any ritual or sacrifice or study or anything. Because when we do some action, three things are involved: the doer, the act, and the result of the action. And action starts with ignorance. Avidya, kama, and karma. But in the knowledge of Brahman, these things are not there. See, ignorance is necessary for action. I'm a human being. I need to work. So this sort of that means I'm not Brahman. So this sort of ignorance, I always told you, ignorance is not something negative. Like I always say, I do not know much about the digital world, but that doesn't affect my life. But not knowing Brahman affects us, isn't it? It is profoundly connected with us. So when ignorance means not only not knowing reality, but knowing something, I'm that something else. So the something else is the problematic, isn't it? I do not know that I am Brahman. That's okay. I think that I am a human being and I want this, I want that, I do this. See, I, me, the whole lot comes. So with that comes desire. And for the fulfillment of desire comes karma. And karma will bring another karma and the karma, and the chain goes off. So ignorance, desire, and karma, these are involved in action. But in the knowledge of Brahman, these things are not, because Brahma Vidya or knowledge of the self is a unitary thing where diversity is not there. So that teacher says you need nothing. You need to understand clearly, a clear understanding, a thorough understanding of the philosophy is what is needed. You have to daily sharpen your intellect. Agraya buddhya. We read in the Kena Upanishad, isn't it? Agra buddhi, sharp intelligence, enabled to pierce the crust of name and form and peep into the reality. Such sharp intelligence is what is needed. That's all is needed, nothing else. Sharpen the intellect through constant reasoning. But we know Atman is eternal and it is self-luminous, but always veiled by ignorance. Shri Krishna says, Ajnanena vritam jnanam. Knowledge is covered by ignorance. And how many covers? How many piles and piles of things we have put? First is the body, then there's the mind, then is the intellect, then is the ego. So these are all we have piled on the Brahman, the Atman, the reality, which is subtlest of all subtle. Hence, some means is required to destroy this ignorance. That's all. Whatever sadhanas, whatever spiritual practices we do for the realization of Brahman is always negative in nature. That is why the path of the knowledge is called as neti neti. You cannot point out and say this is Brahman. That means it becomes an object. So only you have got one way of telling. This is not Brahman. This is not Brahman. This is not Brahman. So not this, not this. Neti neti. This is the process. So all our practices, whatever you do in the name of sadhana, in the path of knowledge, it is negative in nature. Because it's an ever-present reality. You're not bringing something inside. The reality is already there. I don't have to be pure. I'm already pure. Only thing is, I need to know it. I need to assert it. That's all. Hence, certain means are adapted. What are they? The 8th mantra says, Tasyai tapo dhamma karmeti pratishtha veda sarvangani satyamayatanam. Austerity, self-restraint, and sacrificial rites. This is a wrong interpretation. The translation should have been dedicated work or selfless work. Or its feet, and the Vedas are the limbs, and truth is its abode. Austerities. Austerities are very essential. Austerities means controlling concentration of the energies of the mind and senses. That's very conservation of energy, and with that, we get better things. We use those energies for the higher purposes. If we spend the energy in the lower way, there is nothing left for higher things. So we conserve this energy by controlling the mind and senses. This is called as austerities, tapa. Then dhamma, control of passions. Karma, unselfish acts. Dedicated work. And this is the index. Show index of ego reduction. How much ego is there, and how selfless we are, how arrogant we are. All that. When we do karma yoga, we understand how much of knowledge we have got. So karma yoga is a test of jnana yoga. I always say karma yoga is a test of jnana yoga. Jnana yoga is the basis of karma yoga. They are interrelated. You have the knowledge of the self, your karma yoga will be perfect. And if your karma yoga is perfect, then you understand that your knowledge is also perfect. So interrelated. So karma is very essential now and then to test how much we have got knowledge. So these are all the means to overcome the ignorance, for the destruction of ignorance. Ethical values and moral values are very indispensable in this realization of Brahman. So you see the struggle needed to overcome the animal impulses, the effort needed to make the mind free from the slavery to the senses, and to develop a pure will which has the capacity to turn the energies of the body and mind towards the divine reality. All these are the effort, the sadhanas that we do, and this ends in the realization of the Supreme. And truth, he says, truth is its abode, and the Vedas are its limb. The correct understanding of the scripture is essential. Sri Ankara says the knowledge of the Atman is only found in the Upanishads, nowhere else. Nowhere. He does not say there are no mystics anywhere. That's not the word. He says the knowledge of the Upanishad is to, of the Atman is to be derived only from the Upanishad. So the study of Upanishads, the study of the Shastras, study of the scripture is essential. Correct interpretation, correct understanding. So that is why study is given. Study is, if you study, you will not become a knower of Brahman. But without study, you cannot become the knower of Brahman. Do you understand how it is? People ask us, oh, you all have left the home and earth and home. You should have realized the God. They ask us. So just because I have left my home, do you mean to say God is ready standing there to come and stand in front of me? No way. No, it's not. But without that, you cannot. It's coming out of the means until unless you are not detached from I and mind, there is no question of progress, whether you be at home or in the monastery. You can carry the I and me even in the monastery. The real renunciation is the renunciation of me and mine. This is, whether you put a garb or not, that's a different thing. I and mine. This is what is. And as long as that is there, no. Jahan kam, taha nahi ram. Jahan ram, taha nahi kam. Where there is desire, there is no Rama. And where there is Rama, there is no desires. This is what the Doha says, the proverb says. So, I and mine has to go. So for that, the clear understanding of the study of the scriptures is essential. Slowly, the scriptures will enable us to understand deeper and will take us away from, what do you call, that which is not real. This realization or this discrimination dawns slowly. It takes time. It's a question of long time. Kala, Daiva, Purushakar. There is divine, There's time and effort. All this are needed for the realization of the self. And truth is its abode. What? Integrity of thought, word. Integrity in thought, word, and deed. This is very, very essential. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, in this Kali, truthfulness is the tapasya. There's no other austerities. Truthfulness. Be sincere to the core. That's what is needed. And Sri Ramakrishna used to say, he gave the Divine Mother everything. But he said, I couldn't give truth. I said, you take my dharma, you take my adharma, give me only true devotion to you. He said all that. But he didn't tell, take this truth, take this untruth, give me. No. If I give away the truth, where is the proof that I have given up everything? Isn't it? The truth we cannot. On truth we stand. So truth is the home. Satyamayatana. What a beautiful phrase. Abode. Truth is the abode. So in our struggle to realize our true nature, this is what is essential. Truthfulness, sincerity. That's what is important. And finally, 9th. Yova etameva veda apahatya papam anante swarge loke jayeye pratitishthati. Double times means the end of that. He who thus knows this Upanishad shakes off sin and becomes firmly established in the infinite and the highest heaven. Yeah, the highest heaven. Here ends this Upanishad. So shakes off means what? The cause of this relative world is, as I said, ignorance. And because of ignorance comes the desire, and because of desire comes the action, and the whole universe comes through karma. So once the ignorance is destroyed, we get established. That very moment, we get established in the supreme reality. We become one with reality. That is this end of the Upanishad. Usually, the mantra is repeated here. Want me to repeat the mantra, the final invocation mantra? That's how we end the first mantra we had to. Om apyayantu mamangani वाक्प्राणचक्षुश्रोत्रमथ बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणमेऽस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेया उपनिषत्सु धर्मस्ते मयि सन्तु ओम शांति शांति शांति.
So we have time for questions, discussion.
Pranam Mataji. My question is, it says that the twinkling of the eye and the flash of the lightning, this actually is the Brahman, according to what it says.
Examples. They are
giving. They are Brahman actually, the light.
No, like that. The realization of Brahman is like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Now,
it's profound.
What I understand, these are the two methods of meditation,
You can take it.
But how do we do that?
Because I don't think in that way. I don't know how they can meditate. But I know when the mind is cleared, purged of its grossness, when the mind becomes subtler and subtler, the light of the Atman reflects the light of the Atman more, and hence it becomes luminous. That might be the example they are saying. Because the luminosity, now it's opaque. So the light in this yellow light and that glass light, two are different because this is painted, hence it reflects very little light. But whereas the glass is clear, So like that, if when the mind attains its subtlety, then it reflects the light of the Atman. And that's the example it might be. That's how you can meditate on. You have to meditate on even on your Ishta, not like endowed with uh, flesh and bones, but luminous being. You can do it like that.
But
Your Ishta.
Ramakrishna says that you have to have Ishtadeva, one of the avataras.
You
right?
can have no
Yeah.
problem.
But because Brahman, we
That's all
always-
right. That doesn't at all. Because before attaining Brahman, you have to first pass the Saguna Brahma sadhana. You have that is why the in the Upanishads, what do you call competence? Competence is necessary. So, in order to be a competent for the acquisition of self-knowledge, you have to be an adept in your meditation of Saguna Brahma. So, when you get Saguna Brahma meditation, already you have progressed so much, there is no doubts, no confusion. You would just go ahead. That's what Sri Ramakrishna did. He started from the gross Kali Murti, from the image worship. He started, but he didn't confine himself there. So the mind becomes subtler and subtler and subtler, pure and sattvic. So it also depends upon the object of your meditation. You take some always nature meditation, going and sitting and meditating on seeing the ocean and mountain. It's nice. It elevates, but you are confining it mind only to the name and form. But you take a subtle concept and meditate on it, on the concept, the mind also gains subtlety. Hold it.
when you have the okay,
Mm.
when you have one of the avataras, we know the history of the avataras. Say like Shiva, or because if you say Brahman, actually I used to have argument with the
No, that is
with some of them. And Brahman is difficult to meditate. So
that
you
is
have
why
to
we
know-
always we all have our ishta.
Yeah, that's it.
That's fine.
So
There's
that's
nothing.
even Ramakrishna says very difficult. So that's nirvikalpa samadhi, it's very difficult. So you don't go to that path because most people think that if you impersonal is easy, but it's not easy.
It need not be easy.
It's
but
not
it,
beyond our comprehension.
it need not be easy, but it gives you a lot of strength. It makes you to take the whole responsibility on yourself. That's the beauty of the impersonal aspect. It will not allow you to put the blame on somebody. Oh God, because of God, I did this happen. Ayo, put the blame on God. No. In the path of knowledge, you take the responsibility of yourself. I have done this, I will undo this. This capacity, Purushakar. Jnana Yoga path of Brahman means lot of self-effort. You have no support from anywhere. You trust on your own. You have faith in yourself, and that's the beauty of it. Afterwards, realization comes. We don't have to worry about the realization at all. We always try to make ourselves ready for the realization. As I told you, it takes eons, life after life, to prepare our mind for realization. But the realization itself comes in twinkling of an eye. So all what we need is, however, Kena Upayana. That's what the great Kunti said. The Bhagavata tells from the mouth of not Kunti. The Upanishad, I mean the Bhagavata says, somehow or the other, try to hold the mind, connect the mind with God, communion with God. That is what is essential. That itself will make the necessary requirements. And then it becomes easy. Sri Ramakrishna didn't get the Totapuri immediately. He went through all the 5 sadhanas, only then Totapuri came. Sri Ramakrishna's life itself is a really, it's a systematic. It's so scientific and very clear. He started with the gross Kali Murti made of clay. From there, how he came and ended up in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Every moment in a day, how many times he used to come in and out of that. From one to many. So that happens. There's nothing wrong in meditating on an Ishta. It's fine, but go ahead. That's it.
The other question is, you said that Vanam is the
Lovable, adorable. To be
adorable, yeah, the Brahman. But when you say in Sanskrit, it becomes
Tadvanam.
forest.
Not vana, vanyam.
Vanyam.
Ah,
I see.
it's not
Vanam, not
vananiyam,
Vananiyam.
vandaniyam, like how
I
you
see, I
say
see.
that. It's not
Okay.
vana. No, no,
Okay.
no, it's not vana.
Then the last question is, the last one is sacrifice.
I told you.
austerities.
Hmm.
So you said the first austerity is samadhamma. The second one you said sacrifice. We do not know what are the sacrifice. we
No,
have
that's
to
what I told you. The interpretation doesn't have to be.
do. Yeah.
At present, in our context, sacrificial rites have no meaning. There's
Yes.
another type of sacrifice your life, sacrifice your time for others, sacrifice, get rid of yourself.
Yeah.
That's the meaning of sacrifice.
Yeah.
The more you cling to you, me and mine, the more you become narrow, separate, and become finite. Our purpose is to get out of ourselves, to become infinite. So
Yeah.
sacrifice can be other.
Yeah.
Sacrificing your time, your wealth, your whatever you think you have got, you can give for others. That's a sacrifice. So
Yeah,
the
other-
interpretation
other-
of sacrifice is different.
Other question is, so you said about Vedas. We do not know what the Vedas. Vedas, we need to know Sanskrit and all those things, it's outdated now because it describes about sacrifices.
You can
and
read
it's
Swami
materialistic.
Vivekananda's complete works.
Yes.
That is equivalent to Vedas.
Yeah.
So we don't have to take the exact, these were written some 15,000,
Years
15,
ago.
I mean, millennium,
Yes.
15,000 years
Yes,
back.
years
So
back.
they had, it was according to their context they had done.
Yeah.
Now, Vedas are Ramakrishna's gospel, Swami Vivekananda's books. There are many people have come, and we don't have to go and start learning Sanskrit and spend our time. They are giving.
So
giving us-
Upanishad is sufficient, you said, and the
Upanishad
Gita.
is, yes, that's it. Gita Upanishad is more than enough. Complete
Okay.
works of Swamiji is there are equivalent. What they mean is spiritual books. And Swami Vivekananda always particularly says, if you are to be a teacher, then you need to learn too many things. So Sri Ramakrishna says, if you want to commit suicide, even a pin, a needle is enough. But if you have to kill somebody, you need sword and shield. So for a teacher, all this is needed. But for us, that's nothing is needed. Take selective books, read selective, so that you will not end up in being confusion. So as far as studies is concerned, you might read everything. That's good. It's a very good thing to read. I don't deny it.
Oh, it's very
But
difficult.
as far as sadhana is concerned,
Yeah.
as far as spiritual practice is concerned, you have to be very, very particular or be careful about what you're reading.
Yeah.
Don't get confused. Unnecessary confusion will be there. So we will just what is needed for our sadhana, that other things we do read. I'm not against reading or anything. Sri Ramakrishna was not. But what is needed is apply what you're reading. Because we don't apply, so that is why we never end up without confusion.
Yeah, thanks, Mother.
Hello, Sridharaprana. It was really good, the imagery between two gaps in between two thoughts. I'm just curious to know, it's very hard to even think of detecting this gap. And if you do, if you have to detect it, how would you expand that gap?
See, that comes through, that is why practice of meditation. Through the practice of meditation. When we start practicing meditation, then we understand the workings of the mind. But that is why first you have to learn to make the mind to stick to one thing, to one thought. This is called as meditation. Meditation is fixing up, keeping the memory of only one particular pratyaya in the mind, in the field of mind, keeping only, so that doesn't happen. So many ideas come, isn't it? We hardly know. Already we have jumped. We sit and start thinking of God. We sit there, and other than our Ishta, around the world, our mind has gone. Doesn't it happen? That happens. That is in the initials. So these are called as the vagaries of the mind. The vagaries of the minds have to be reduced through constant practice. When we start practicing and trying, enabling ourselves to hold on to one thought, then when other thought comes, then we detect it. So that is how we learn. So it's a long cry to detect it. So we have to start with disciplining the mind to think what you want to think. The mind has to think what you want to think. That means to say you are standing on buddhi level and you are directing the mind, isn't it? We stand will or the buddhi, and then we direct the mind. You're not going to think anything other than this, what I'm asking you to do it. When we get that capacity to do it, so we are not allowing any other thoughts to come. And when the thought comes, immediately we get that capacity to stop. And what happens is, this is for the sake of explanation, but when you get the capacity to hold on to one thought, you also will get the capacity to suppress even that thought. At that moment, the mind doesn't exist. Then you get the glimpses of that. For explanation sake, they said there are two thoughts, because the mind has lots of them. It's a continuous flow of thoughts. So there are many thoughts. So many thoughts means there must be certain, even a fraction of a second, there must be a time gap in between. Fraction of a second. So try to expand that time. It comes through practice, through constant practice, vigilance, and the fineness of the thought, subtlety of the thought. That is called sattvic. Sattvic. In the gross, opaque, tamasic aspects, we can't. And the rajasic thoughts, you cannot. When the thoughts become sattvic, the mind becomes sattvic, we get that capacity to tanu. But it's a fact. Whether we are able to do it or not, it might be a theory now for us, but this is the possibility that we, all of us, can try and get it if we remain sincere to our idea. That's the point. But I was very fascinated when I first read this. Bodham, bodham, pratibodham. So between two thoughts, there is this gap. So so that is how, through every modifications of the mind, the perceiver is being understood or realized. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. That just gave me the thought there that when you're saying between two thoughts, there's a little gap. It's like photons, light particles. It's an individual packet. It's not a wave which is seamless. It's packets, one behind the other, but they're so close together. You think of it as a constant wave, but so you're saying is that if you start to perceive that they're little packets, you can start to perceive the very little gap in between, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. See, what is in the microcosm is just in the macrocosm, isn't it? So this is how. Yeah. I suppose. No more questions.
Yes, Tim.
Thank you, Mataji. It was really good. I was wondering, just on that topic about the mind and slowing the mind down, or having that space between two thoughts to experience pure consciousness, which is not the same thing as Brahman.
Basis.
Same thing?
Yeah.
Ah.
There is the consciousness below. So what is there's an abstraction. There is called mind. The elimination of this mind is the ultimate what we are thinking,
Right.
which is very, very tough. It's a Herculean task. So to do that is what we adapt the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and all that we learn through that mind and its function. When we grasp this, then we can deal with mind. The mind is in our control. We can employ the mind in whatever we want, what is beneficial, for that we can apply, and we can, what do you call, stop the mind, or so much you can even eliminate the mind. This capacity the yogis get. It all starts, they also were like us, gross, struggling hard. Over the ages, they must have worked on that, because the mind is the same thing. The body only changes. We take the mind in every incarnation, isn't it? We only drop off the gross body, but the subtle body, we take it. Subtle body means what? The mind, the ego, and the package of the samskaras, what we did, our luggage, big bag. So with that, we get out. And then we go and inhibit in another body. And there we work. Where we have stopped, that's what Shri Krishna says, no? In the 6th chapter. Nothing is lost. Whatever we have done, everything is safe, kept. If you have not attained to the realization, no problem. You have worked exactly the next birth, you will start from where you have. Wherever you are, through the law of affinity, you will come to that particular place, and there is someone to give you the knowledge of Atman, and then you proceed. So nothing is lost, because we take the mind. So we work on our mind slowly, 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 over the ages, over the lives. And then we will come to such a time that the mind becomes so fine, almost the light of the Atman comes in. So that in itself gives us so much strength, so much of, you can call it an intuition or anything. Its experience is so profound on us. Then we really become a blessing to ourselves and to the people who come to us. That is, we can, no problem. We live in eternities. We can work slowly, step by step, we'll follow. Nothing is lost. That's the beauty of Vedanta. You carry forward and work it out. And then couldn't. Okay, no problem. Next. But we are on the track. Somebody may go in jeep, some may take a bullock cart, and some may start walking, and some may have a car, whatever it is. But you all will reach, because we are in the track. We have understood that we have got to deal with our mind, and that's in our hand. Swamiji says every path, yoga, jnana, bhakti, everything is perfect, and you can trust, and you will get the results. But you have to work very, very hard. You have to work very hard. Swamiji says, you may sit and listen to my talks hours together. Nothing will come of it until and unless you apply yourself. So application is what is all needed. Sadhana is of paramount importance. Suppose finished? Thank you.
So our thanks to Sridharaprana for guiding us through another Upanishad. There are a few more Upanishads to cover. If Sridharaprana is willing, we could be. Yes. There are some big ones there waiting. If we can do in future, we will see. And this coming Friday night, we have the discussion on Bhagavad Gita. We're up to chapter 10. Sridharaprana will be leading that. Next Sunday, very special celebration, Kali Puja celebration. We'll have talks by Kali Selvarajan. She's a young, well, not even quite a teenager, but she's fascinated by Kali. And we'll be very happy to hear from her. Her mother assures us she's a very confident speaker, so that'll be quite charming. Sridharaprana will be giving a talk. We're going to have a Sarod recital by Tanim Khan, our good friend and excellent Sarod player. We'll have candlelight offering ceremony to Mother Kali. That'll be led by some chanting by the nuns. And please bring some sweets or savories to offer. We'll share those afterwards. So that's all next Sunday. On the following day, the Monday the 13th, Gayatri Pranaji will return from her very long and happy pilgrimage and visit to India. She's actually going to have a couple of days in Singapore on the way back and be giving a talk there. So we look forward to having her back with us from Monday the 13th. 2 days later, I fly off. I'll be away for about 3 weeks. So there will not be the Friday night discussions in my absence. They'll recommence on the 8th of December. The Sunday talks will continue though. So Sridharaprana will be looking after that and helping Gayatri Pranaji settle back in. So thanks for joining us today in person. Thanks to those who joined us via Zoom.